Peters. I'm the founder and head trader of Seasonal Swing Trader. Looks like everybody can see my screen. So we just followed up with price. Great presentation. We must always start with the risk disclaimer, as we already covered earlier this morning. I know we've had a lot of people trickle in late, so we want to cover this again. Very important here. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Substantial risk of loss associated with trading. Only risk capital should be used to trade. You can lose money in trading. So I know everybody's pretty much familiar with that. But go ahead and take a quick moment just to glance to make sure it's crystal clear we're on the same page. All right, I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself once again. My name is Silas Peters. It's me standing there in front of my alma mater at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. There are my two beautiful daughters and some other pics of just myself and my family hanging out this summer, trying to get out of the house, get out of the corona cocoon, if you will. We like to just hang out at the beach, go down to the bay, and just generally be outside when and where possible. They start school next week, so things are getting a little crazy. But 3 days after I graduated from Alabama, I sold my car, I packed up my belongings, and I headed north. I drove straight north to the great city of Chicago, the old Windy City. And it's here where I cut my teeth in the commodity markets working at the Chicago Board of Trade. I was bitten by the trading bug and really never looked back. So while there, I helped run a global trading desk, placing and managing books of trades across the Americas, Asian, and European sessions, primarily working with large block order flow for hedge funds, banks, CTAs, large force spectators, and the like. I've also been a part of building and managing several futures and equity brokerage firms, managing operations, trading, back office, sales, and support. I've also worked as a private family office investment consultant, hold or have held these various futures and securities licenses. And then in 2016, I launched Seasonal Swing Trader. Greg says there's no sound, so I just want to do another quick audio check, make sure I'm not speaking into a black hole. Can anybody give me a thumbs up and let me know that we have sound? All right. We got a little. All right, perfect. All right, let's keep trucking in. So my journey as a trader, it wasn't always easy. In fact, there was a learning curve, several obstacles and hurdles on the path to where I am today. The first step was obviously learning. School does not teach real life experience in the markets. In the beginning, I made money. In fact, I made a substantial amount of money. Was I lucky? I like to not think that I was, but ignorance and greed cost me my profits. I blew up an account, then I blew up a few others in what I like to call revenge trading. I'm sure some of you have been there and can attest to that. It's no fun, but unfortunately, it's part of the learning process. So I finally went back to my roots. I settled down, worked my process, and I found overall consistency. But enough about me. Let's talk about you. Does your trading desk look like this? Does anybody's trading desk look like this? I certainly hope not. This is actually not my trading desk. This is a poor attempt at humor. I found this on the internet a while back. Thought it was funny at the time because I think it's the perception of what a lot of those on the outside looking in at us traders think that this is what our desks look like, that we're just sitting around and we've got lines and colors and numbers flashing all over the place. Certainly not the case. It did look like my desk in Chicago for obvious reasons, but now I've since pared back to about a handful of monitors for quotes, charts, order entry, and the internet for day-to-day operations. But all this does is really lead this to paralysis analysis. So who here has been a victim or is a victim of paralysis analysis? I'm raising my digital hand. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. And per Wikipedia, it's a state of overanalyzing or overthinking a situation so that a decision or action is never taken, in effect paralyzing the outcome. So yeah, a lot of you have been there, and of course it's no fun. Who has done all the analysis they thought they could possibly do? They've looked at this chart, they've crossed that T, dotted that I, put their hand on the mouse, get ready to pull the trigger, and then, some line crossed that line or something did that, thus negating our overall analysis. So a lot of you have been there, and my point or my goal today is to eliminate the paralysis analysis demons. So I appreciate the interaction so far. I like to see what kind of audience I'm talking to. Do you trade stocks, options, futures, Forex, maybe even cryptocurrency? I trade all these actively, stocks, options, futures, and Forex. Don't trade crypto actively. I do have baskets of accounts, if you will, across the World Wide Web. Don't even know how to get into half the damn things, but I view them more as a lottery ticket, if anything. I did PD, yep. So we've got options, a lot of options traders flooding in, stocks and options. There's a little mix of futures and Forex as well. All of the above. Yeah, cool. So yeah, it's interesting. Just like to see what everybody's trading there. And I've got good news, because what I'm going to share with you works on all those markets. It's highly accurate. It's profitable. Works in all time frames. And it's 99% mechanical. But most importantly, it's simple. So one thing I like to say is we're not here to teach rocket surgery today. We're going to keep things simple. So my agenda and promise to you is we're going to learn a simple mechanical setup that is repeatable regardless of the market or time frame. So if you've seen anything that's come out from me, or heard something maybe on the internet about the $10,000 trade promise, this is what it is. But I'm going to break your heart. I don't promise you anything in trading or in life. It is what it is. But these are trade setups that we talked about in multiple free presentations, such as this one, about a potential $10,000 trade setup. And they actually occurred, they triggered, and went on, met their $10,000 trade objective and then some. This is a chart on crude oil. This is a chart on RBOB and lead gas. We also had a third one in natural gas, and they triggered and met their $10,000 objective and then some. We also talked about these so-called sleeper markets here in coffee and OJ. You can see here from a 5, 15, and 30-year historical price pattern that the market tended to rise. Does that mean that we went and we bought coffee and OJ futures? We bought call spreads, sold put spreads? No, we said wait on your hand, sit on your hands, wait very patiently for a very specific setup and pattern to occur, the one you're about to learn here momentarily. And you know what they did? They triggered and went on, met their $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 per contract price objective. We also talked about markets here in corn and soybeans and wheat. This is corn on the left, beans on the right. You can see here from a 5, 15, 30-year historical price perspective, the markets tended to bottom out or get quiet at this time of the year. And that is exactly what was happening. The markets were getting very quiet, almost being lulled to sleep by market participants. We had favorable weather out in the Midwest, almost too quiet. Did we go get long these markets? No, we said, wait for this pattern to set up. And they did. They went on and met their $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 per contract price objective. So we knew not to be short those markets. We waited for a very specific pattern to set up. And as you can see, they did. And this presentation is not all about futures or commodities, but I'm just trying to show you or make a point that these set up over and over again, regardless of the market you look at it. And I'm going to prove it to you at the end of the presentation. So who here is ready to see this setup responsible for these very recent trades? We're talking about 800 S&P points, 800 S&P points, 160 points here in cocoa, 300 pips in the Aussie New Zealand dollar down here, and $40 or two $20 trades here in Facebook. All right, absolutely. Otherwise, you probably would be listening to me right now. So let's talk about it. Drum roll, please. It is the 1, 2, 3 pattern, also referred to as a 1, 2, 3 top or 1, 2, 3 bottom. Who here is familiar with the 1, 2, 3? I didn't invent it. This is no secret. It's been around for years. But one of the most fundamental technical patterns in the textbooks. We're talking about Technical Analysis 101, and highly, and I mean highly, overlooked by most traders. So yes, a lot of people here are familiar with it. I would be surprised if 100% or maybe 99.8% of you are not. So actually, a couple of you are not, and that's awesome because I'm going to show you some exciting things. Let's talk about the setup. It's price action based. The pattern, excuse me, is comprised of a low, then a higher high and a higher low, and a break at that higher high. In the case that we're going long, rules apply to the inverse if we're looking to short. Anticipates a change in trend from up to down on a break below the 2 or B point. Anticipates a change in trend from down to up on a break above the 2 or B point. Let's talk about the strategy. It usually occurs at the end of trends and swings. Could be an indication of a change in trend, can also be found within a trading range. So you may argue, Silas, is this a counter trend strategy or a reversal type strategy? And in essence, it is, but we're going to talk about ways that we can filter these out and put the odds even more in our favor. I will stress that it also works extremely well when the pattern sets up at important or significant areas of support and resistance, head and shoulders, tops and bottoms, double tops, double bottoms, and so forth. Let's take a look at the mechanics. So this could be any market here. This could be the Aussie CAD. This could be soy mill. This could be Exxon Mobil. It doesn't really matter. We're looking at the basic mechanics. So here we have 0.1. That's the highest peak when we find resistance, and then move down. We move down. Once we stop making these higher lows and retrace back up, we have our number 2. Market retraces higher and then pulls back down, giving us our number 3. Now on this retracement here, we could have come up here, or even up here, as long as we don't take out that number 1 high. We have a 1, 2, 3 top. Now for a 1, 2, 3 top trader, we know that we're looking to get short on breaks or closes below the number 2. Mona says we have no audio. Let me help Mona out and tell her to try F5 or refreshing, because I think I have audio. I certainly hope I do. All right, thanks. Thank you for the confirmation. I just get a little nervous. Let's talk about the 1, 2, 3 bottom. Same rules apply when we look for the bottom, but only in inverse. So here we have a 0.1. When we have that lowest low at support, we pull up and then come back down, giving us a 1, 2, 3. Market could have come down here, or even down here. As long as we don't take out that number 1 low, we have a 1, 2, 3. Now for a 1, 2, 3 bottom trader, we know that we're looking to get long on breaks or closes above the number 2. We don't know what happened here in this situation, but that's where we would be on point looking to get long. So let's take a look at some chart examples. Start with the 1, 2, 3 top. This is a daily chart of the Aussie dollar, or the 6A. If you don't trade futures, you could look at FXA, which is the ETF that tracks the Aussie dollar, or you could look at the Aussie US pair if you trade Forex. You're gonna see the same pattern setup. So on a daily chart, in this example and in the next examples, we like to look at 52-week highs or 52-week lows. That's not an absolute rule, nothing set in stone there. Those are going to give you your higher probability setups. We'll talk about a little bit later on how you could look at, say, every 6 months, every 90 days to find more opportunities. But for these example purposes, we'll look at a 52 or daily chart, 52-week high. So we have a number 1, a red number 1 circle here. Why? This is a 52-week high. Market comes down, finds support, bounces up, pulls back down. 1, 2, 3. This is a bit of a shallow retracement here. Again, it could have come up here or up here, as long as we don't take out that number 1 high. 1, 2, 3. Again, where are we looking to get short? On breaks or closes below the number 2, which is what we get here. Market trades down. Well, okay, so you already know the rules, right? You know all of the ingredients. Well, hang on. What about the other important parts of the recipe? Like, where do I put my risk? Where am I taking profits? Well, very simply, we put our risk above the high of the number 1. Our initial target is the distance between the high of the 1, measured to the low of the 2, and then measure down. So we measure from here to here and then down, and that's about 225 ticks or $2,200 per contract. So you'll notice right off the bat it is a 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio. But we'll talk about as well how we can quickly cut that risk once that market starts to move in our favor. It's very important to put your risk up here to allow the market to materialize. Otherwise, you're probably going to get stopped out prematurely. So once we start breaking down here, and we'll talk about trailing stops and where you can move your stops, but where's the next logical place to put your stop once we start breaking down? Above the high of the number 3, or next area of resistance. So we can quickly cut our risk here by 50, 60, maybe even 70% in this case. All right, let's look at another top example. This is a daily chart of Walmart, WMT. We have a red number one circle. Why? It's a 52-week high. 1, 2, 3. We know days in advance what 99% of other traders are struggling with. Where am I going to get in? Where am I going to put my stop? Where am I taking profits? Where are my targets? We know that days in advance. We know on this 1, 2, 3 top that we're looking to get short, excuse me, on breaks or closes below the number 2. We know our initial risk is above the high of the 1, and we know our initial target is the distance between the high of the 1 and the low of the 2, which is about $5 in this example. Okay, market breaks down and trades to the downside. Let's look at 1, 2, 3 bottom examples. This is a 15-minute chart of the E-mini S&P. So on an intraday chart, we're looking for what we call session highs or session lows. We're obviously not going to be looking for 52-week highs or 52-week lows. That wouldn't make much sense. So on an intraday chart, whether it's a tick, 5-minute, 15-minute, so on, we're looking for session lows or session highs. How do I define that? I define that by going back to the Globex Open. So if you're not familiar with futures or forex, they trade virtually around the clock, 23/6. They open up on Sunday afternoons, trade into the Asian session, into the European session, into the New York session, shutting down on Friday afternoon, reopening, rinse and repeat. Okay, so wherever you start your trading day, I start mine around 6 a.m. Central. So if you start your trading day in the 3 a.m. European session, maybe the Asian session, maybe the 9:30 a.m. Eastern New York cash open, or the lunch hour, or maybe the last hour of the day, you're only looking for new highs or new lows from that point forward. All right. So here we have a 1, 2, 3. Now, aggressive traders will be looking to get long on breaks above that number 2. So they may be working a tick or two above the number 2 high, and you're triggered into the trade. A couple of alternative entry methods that I prefer is to either A, wait for that market to come back and retest, which it will more often than not, or wait for the market to hook back up and through the number 2 breakout level. So if you wait and use one of these entry methods, one of two things are going to happen. One, you're going to miss out on some trades. Sometimes the market will bust up out of that 2 and zip up and reach profit target. Don't get your feelings hurt. There's plenty of other markets and time frames to look at. But what is it also going to likely do? Sometimes the market will come up and roll back down and never come back up, stopping you out. So if you wait for this alternative hook method, it's going to keep you out of some potential false breakouts. So this one gives us that kind of second confirmation that we talk about, just putting the odds in our favor. Let's look at a 1, 2, 3 bottom on Apple. Hell of a way to catch some position, longer term position moves here on a weekly chart. We have a multi-week low. We also have a high probability double bottom. 1, 2, 3 double bottom. Market breaks out here above the number 2 on this large bullish candle. Trades sideways for a few weeks, comes back down and retests and or hooks back above. That's our confirmation to get long Apple. How? We buy Apple stock, we buy call options, call spreads, seller money put spreads, whatever your flavor or style of trading may be. Let's look at failed trades. Sorry, don't throw banana peels and tomatoes. They don't all work. There's no holy grail in trading or life, but we're all big boys and girls, and we know that. Here's a 5-minute chart of the E-mini S&P. I probably took this in my live account. I like the setup. We're getting kind of steep, pretty vertical here on this 5-minute chart of the S&P. Trend line break, 1, 2, 3. You're getting either short here on that initial breakout below the number 2, or if you wait for that second kind of hook method, comes back up, hooks back down, triggers you into the trade. You're up by maybe 1 or 2 points there, and then the market decides to go back north. So if you exercise any type of money management, you're stopped out here at the next area of resistance above the high of the 3, or if you sat on your hands and didn't do anything, you're stopped out here at the initial risk above the high of the 1. But what happens? Look at this. We get a new setup. This high is greater than that high. 1, 2, 3. Market breaks down below the number 2, ends up being a nice profitable trade. And then I like to show you what these no trigger trades or voided trades are. It's neither good, bad, nor ugly. It is what it is. It's just a voided trade. And I'll tell you why I like these. 1, 2, 3, looking to get long, but market comes down, takes out the number 1 low. We start the count over. 1, 2, 3, looking to get long. Market comes down, takes out the number one low. We start the count over. 1, 2, 3. Market breaks above the number 2, and we're triggered into the trade. So if anybody can tell me why I like when this happens, you'll get a gold star on your crown for the day. So what is likely happening here? I'm gonna take a swig of water. We're likely having some type of divergence. So simply put, that means we've got lower lows, lower lows, lower lows on the price action. But that means we're also likely having some type of divergence. So whatever your favorite momentum oscillator might be, whether that's RSI, stochastics, MACD, we're making higher lows, or i.e. no lower lows on that oscillator, getting us that divergence. So that's usually a higher probability setup. Let's talk about the trade management again. Confirmation of entry is on a break above the 2 or B point for a long, or a break below the 2 or B point for a short. Exit strategies. I would say go for the distance between the number 1 and number 2 points as your initial target. So if you're only able to trade one contract, one futures contract, Forex, one share of stock, one option contract, go for that distance between 1 and 2. It's uncanny how more often than not it will go tag that and then often reverse. Now, if you have the flexibility to scale in and out with multiple contracts, that's where I'd say, hey, take a third off, or half, 2/3 off at that distance between the 1 and 2, and then you can trail your stop however you manage your trade. Nobody can tell you how to manage your own trade, but I like to target good old-fashioned support and resistance levels, areas of price structure. But you can use trend line breaks, 2 to 3, trail 2 to 3 bar candles, moving averages, PAR/SAR. They come a dime a dozen. You have to figure out what works best for you. So I've showed you this setup works in any market, whether you trade pips and Forex, Pepsi stock, pot stocks, or potash, pork bellies, or the Polish zloty. And also in any time frame, whether you trade on a tick, hourly, 4-hour, daily, weekly, and so on, and any trading style. Are you a position trader, a swing trader, a scalper, or a day trader? What is everybody's trading style? I'm gonna take another swig of water here. Tell me what your trading style is. All right, day and position, swing, a lot of swingers in here. Scalp, not sure yet. That's a perfect answer. Learning to swing, awesome. And the point is that you've got to find out what your bread and butter is. I found for me, I like the 5 and 10 minute on intraday charts for S&P, NASDAQ, crude oil, 30-year bonds, occasionally the currency futures. The hourly and the 4-hour for currency futures, a handful of commodities and FX, and then daily for all markets, whether equities, equity options, ETFs, indices, commodities, and FX, just to hold positions a little bit longer. In fact, that's where I got started in my trading journey, looking at end-of-day charts, doing my analysis, placing my trades. Went off to the workplace, had no idea what was going on, and I would come back and see what happened. It was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to me. So you've seen the proof. Let's look at some real trade examples. Not to say that what we've been looking at were fake examples, but let's look at some real trade examples we've utilized in some of our services. So let's talk about crude oil. I'll let you guys and gals read the text over here on the right. I'm going to look at the chart, but everybody's familiar with crude. They love to talk about it, whether you trade CL futures or maybe USO or other regular or leveraged crude or energy ETFs or stocks. You're going to see the same or very similar patterns of setups. So here we have a daily chart of crude. We have a 52-week high giving us a number 1 point, 1, 2, 3. We know on a 1, 2, 3 top where we are looking to get short, where we are putting our initial risk, and where we are putting our targets. We have a 1, 2, 3 looking to get short here. We get a couple of retests. Market quickly breaks down and reaches our $3 or $3,000 per contract price objective. Then the market goes into sideways mode. So I get asked all the time, can you trade these in range bound markets? Well, you can. Theoretically, here we have a 1, 2, 3 bottom inside this range, and it trades to the upside, ends up being a nice move. But I personally, I'm looking for new highs or new lows, and we get that. This high is greater than that high, so we have a new 1, 2, 3 count. 1, 2, 3. Now, I'll tell you why I got really excited about this trade. Well, one, because of the high probability 1, 2, 3 top pattern that we've been talking about. Secondly, we're at a time of the year from a seasonal perspective where the market, excuse me, where crude oil and energy markets in general typically trade to the downside. So when we have those two things line up, that's what I call the perfect marriage in trading. So here we have a 1, 2, 3. Market breaks down below the number 2 here. We have 3, 4, 5 days of retest, giving you plenty of opportunities to get in. Then the market meets our $4 or $4,000 per contract price objective, and then continues to trade down. In fact, this market trades down another $20,000 per contract. Now, we didn't catch that entire move, but we damn sure caught a large chunk of it. And all we did is trail the market until we either got stopped out or we had a potential reversal. And we almost get a reversal here. 1, 2, the market takes out that low. 1, 2, 3. Looking to get long here. This is looking pretty juicy. Why? Because we have a nice 1, 2, 3 high probability setup. And then we have a beautiful triangle here. I mean, a crystal clear triangle, probably my second favorite pattern. They just don't appear as often. And then third, we are now at a time of the year from a seasonal perspective where the market tends to go higher. This is probably one of my better or highest probability seasonal setups, is to get long crude and energy markets around this time of the year. So I was almost certain that the market was going to go higher. But what happened? Market broke down hard, taking out the number 1, as well as breaking out to the bottom of the triangle, as it should in this continuation pattern. Sells off another $10,000 or $10 a barrel per contract. We finally get a last flush low down here, 1, 2, 3, breaks above, and we flip to the long side, meeting our $5 objective. Let's look at another market that everybody likes to talk about. This is a daily chart of gold. This is actually GLD, the ETF that tracks gold. I like to look at the futures or the commodity chart first, because it's much more fluid, a lot cleaner. You're not going to see all these gaps, but regardless, if you want to look at the ETFs, that's perfectly fine. Here we have a 1, 2, 3, market breaks down, gives you a retest, comes down, reaches our $4 profit objective. Here we have a 1, 2, 3, also have a double bottom, market breaks above the number 2, gives you a retest, reaches our $2 profit objective. Then we go into sideways mode. So again, if you want to trade the range bound 1, 2, 3s, help yourself. 1, 2, 3, trades up. 1, 2, 3, trades to the downside. Those are some really nice moves. But again, I'm only looking for new highs up here. Mouse disappeared. New highs up here or new lows down here. And what are we doing? We're making new lows. These lows are lower than these lows, so we're getting new number 1 counts. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Looking to get long, but market gaps down, takes out that number 1 low. We start to count over. 1, 2, 3. Market gaps higher 2 days in a row. Boom, boom. Comes back and retests. You also get a trend line retest. Reaches your $4 profit objective, and then continues to trade higher. So I just get a kick out of these people that, you know, subscribe to all these expensive newsletters and listen to these people, you know, on TV talking about gold. Oh, gold's going to go there. Gold's going to go here. Who cares? Look at the price action and let price action dictate to where it's likely heading. And gold has been on an absolute tear to the upside. Let's look at Delta Airlines. This is probably becoming a little bit redundant by now, but I'm just trying to make a point about how simple these are to see. 1, 2, 3, market gaps up, comes back and retests, reaches $4 profit objective. Here we have a 1, 2, 3. Market gaps down. I don't trade the gaps, but I do have members and students that will trade these. So they're, you know, buying put options or selling the market aggressively here. We get another chance to go short. 1, 2, 3. Market breaks down. Get a small retest here, and then trades down $8 plus, and then here we have a 1, 2, 3. Market trades higher, comes back and retests, and then makes this $8 plus move. For you Forex traders, this is a 4-hour chart of the CAD Swissy, the Canadian dollar versus Swiss franc. Here we have a multi-session low, 1, 2, 3, also double bottom. Again, the aggressive traders are getting long here on that initial pop or breakout above the number 2. Or if you wait for the retest or the hook back above, you're long here, reaches your 70 pip profit objective. Now, what do? All we do is wait for looking for shorts. We're looking for shorts now. 1, 2, nope. 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 1, 2, 3. Finally get a 1, 2, 3. It's a smaller one up here. Breaks down, trades sideways, reaches a 40 pip profit objective. And then I get asked, does it work on an intraday chart? Of course it does. This is a 5-minute chart of the NASDAQ. 5-minute chart of the NASDAQ, 1, 2, 3. Market breaks above the number 2, and hooks back above, reaches your 13-point profit objective. Here's a 1, 2, 3. Market breaks down below the number 2, trades sideways, gives us a little heartburn, finally sells off here. This is probably the last hour of the day, reaches 20-point profit objective. Then we have a 1, 2, 3, breaks above. If you're lucky enough to get long there on that retest, you're filled on your 30-point profit objective in about 2 candles. And now with the invention or the introduction of the micros by the CME, I think that was what, last year or maybe late 2018. I'm not real sure, but they have the micro S&P, micro NASI, micro Russell, micro Dow, which is 1/10 of the size. So it's a perfect, opportunity to get into these markets with trading of a fraction. So you're not getting your face pill or use them to trade in multiple contracts to scale in and out. It's really, really good stuff. So why are you here? You're here to learn my mechanical done-for-you strategy for all markets and all time frames. Have I shown you enough proof? This is the part of the presentation where I ask you, have I fulfilled my promise to you up to this point? And I'm going to take another swig of water here. Have I fulfilled my promise thus far? All right, great. All right, Sad says no. That's probably the second no I've ever received. And so if you type no, you've got to at least tell me why. Well, I don't know how to break it down any simpler. I mean, I honestly don't, but I'm all ears. And if you could tell me how to break it down even simpler or easier, I would love to hear it because I will incorporate it into the next presentation. But everybody says yes so far, with the exception of one no. But wait, there's more. You knew it was coming. There's more. Usually when people say this, it doesn't end well, but I can assure you that this will. What if the strategy was automated? What if the strategy was plotted onto your chart for you? And what if the trigger entry and the targets were drawn for you? And what if your platform could scan the markets for you and tell you when there is a pending setup? I don't know about you, but I would say that would be amazing. You remember the examples earlier. I hope you do. I hope you do, because we just talked about them, but let me refresh your memory. So this is that same example we just looked at in crude oil a few moments ago. Same chart, but now with a special 1, 2, 3 indicator plotted onto the chart. So you're smart boys and girls, you probably already know what this is, but let's talk about what all these arrows and colors mean. The green arrow is your number 1 point. The red arrow is your number 2 point. The blue arrow is your number 3. 1, 2, 3. What about this white chevron signal or sell signal? This is not a sell signal. This is not a buy signal. This is simply telling you that, hey, we have broken or penetrated below the number 2, or we've broken or penetrated above the number 2. So if and only if we get a break below that 2 or a break above the 2, we're going to get the print. So this is the candle that took out that number 2 low. This is the candle that took out that number 2 high. What about the lines? The lines is your, so if and only if we get that break, you're going to get the 4 lines plot onto your chart. What do these mean? This blue line is your breakout level, or could be considered your entry level. Your red line is your risk or your stop. The lime green line is what I call TP1 or profit objective 1. And your dark green line is what I call TP2 or profit objective 2. What do these mean again? The TP1 is the distance between the high of the 1 measured to the low of the 2 measured down. TP2 is simply 2 times the distance of TP1. What are all these arrows? Why the heck do we see all these arrows? These arrows are telling us that we're making new lows. New lows, new lows, new lows, new lows, new lows. We stop making new lows and pull up, have a potential 1, 2, 3. We never break above the number 2. Here we have new lows. We're getting new green arrows, 1, 2, 3, looking to get long. Remember, this is the one I was getting ready to aggressively get long here. We never break above the number 2. So hence no arrows, so hence no chevrons, and hence no lines. Market breaks down, we get that last setup over here. Here's that gold chart. 1, 2, 3, breaks above, is TP1, TP2. Here's that sideways action that we talked about. We don't have any 1, 2, 3 arrows because my settings are only looking for new highs or new lows. We're in this range or consolidation period, so we're not getting any prints. We are getting prints down here. These lows are lower than these lows, so we're clearly trying to make a bottom. 1, 2, 3. We take out this low, so we get a new print. 1, 2, 3. Market just barely breaks above the number 2, so we get our prints, and then we get that gap, comes back and retest TP1, TP2, and then we're making new highs up here. So we're starting a new 1, 2, 3 top count. Delta Airlines. Here's that same example on Delta. Here's a long, here's the short, there's the short, there's the long. And then the 5-minute NASDAQ chart. New session high, 1, 2, 3. Market breaks below the number 2, hugs the breakout area for a few bars. Hits TP1, hits TP2 to the tick. TP2 actually happened to be a session low, so we flip around to the long side. 1, 2, 3. Market breaks above and it hooks back above. Hits TP1, doesn't quite get up to TP2, but it's close enough for government work. You shouldn't have lost any money on the trade. Next, we go sideways or range bound again. We make a session low. This low is lower than that low, so we get a new count. 1, 2, 3. Market just nips its head there above the number 2. Market comes down, hooks back above, hooks back again. It's TP1, and as we are looking for TP2, notice that we're making new highs. So that puts us on alert that says, hey, we may need to get ready to reverse our position. We finally end up getting TP2, and we get a new 1, 2, 3 top in the session here. Breaks down below the number 2, comes back, hooks back down, hits TP1, TP2. You can see it down here. We're looking to put in a new 1, 2, 3 bottom, a fairly large 1, 2, 3 bottom, to say the least. So is this training for you? Only you and you only can answer that. If you're new to the markets and want to jumpstart your success, if you're an experienced trader and want to add another arrow to your trading quiver, if you're tired of all the noise we talked about, the indicator overload, the paralysis analysis, if you just want to simplify your process or add another new strategy to what you're already doing, or if you want a very specific step-by-step mechanical trading plan, this could be for you and something you can do very part-time. So I do like to kind of tell a little short story here. When I had this built out and developed, I brought my wife down to my office who teaches ballet part-time. I brought my 2 girls down who were like 4 and 5 at the time. Trust me, they don't know a flying flip about the markets. They don't even know what I do. So I showed them the chart and the indicator, and I said, look, after they calmed down about all the colors and the candles and this and that, I show them what I was attempting to do. I explain to them just what I explained to you, and they got it. They actually understood. They're like, yes, I understand this. So my point is that if they can understand it, then you certainly can too. Most of us don't remember learning how to count to 3 or learning our primary colors, but that's about all you need to know with a dash of common sense. So I do have a very special offer for today's attendees. We do limit this to 25 people because I am a human being. I'm not a robot. I actually do monitor my own inbox, and I enjoy communicating and getting feedback from our students and members. And so time is only around so much. So what is the offer? It's called the 3S Code High-Low Indicator and Scanner. We've had this built for Thinkorswim, TradeStation, NinjaTrader 8, TradingView, and MT4, all of the major platforms. Also going to include chart pattern principle, PDF manual, and trading guide. Chart pattern cheat sheet, 25 top option strategy guide, VIP email support, and access to our private Discord channel. Don't worry, I'll explain what all of this means here momentarily. But what is the 3S Code High-Low Indicator Scanner? Well, let's talk about it. This is the 3S Code High-Low Indicator on your chart, just what we've been talking about. Here's a daily chart of Creed. Here's your short, there's a short, there's a long. Here's a daily chart of Bank of America. There's your long, there's your long, there's your long. Here's a daily chart of Love, LUV, Southwest. There's a short, hits TP1 to the tick. Here's a short, whoops, bad trade, that's a loser. No worries, we get another opportunity to get short up here. And then why do all the work when you can let technology do the work for you? This is a screenshot of my Thinkorswim platform where I'm running a scan for 1, 2, 3 tops in the Russell 1000, only stocks that are optionable. Those that have options on them, $20 a share or greater. I hit the green scan button and voila, I get my results. Here's a screenshot of my some quotes. I have one monitor dedicated to quotes where I'm running 1, 2, 3 tops and 1, 2, 3 bottom scans across multiple asset classes and multiple time frames all at the same time. You can do the same. Now we've been looking at Thinkorswim. This is what it looks like on TradeStation. Here's your indicator component. Here's your scanning component. This is what it looks like on NinjaTrader 8. Here's your indicator component. Here's your scanning component. And here's what it looks like on TradingView. So this is a 4-hour chart of Apple. And then here's what it looks like on MT4, MetaTrader 4, 4-hour chart of the Euro Kiwi. There's your long, there's your short, there's your short, and there's your long. So full disclaimer, there's no scanner component available on TradingView at MT4. I work with a really competent and capable programmer, and it just doesn't exist to my knowledge. But if it does, maybe you know a Russian hacker that can do it, introduce them to me. I would love to get a scanner built out for MT4 and TradingView, but to my knowledge, it just doesn't exist. So, but you do get the scanner on TOS, TS, and NT8. Now we know there's no real crystal ball in the markets, but I like to view this as one that provides me a daily process. I let the platform scan the markets for me, locating the setups. I go to my platform for entry, and then I manage the trade through the exit. And you can start doing so today with the 3S code. So here is the special offer: 3S Code High-Low Indicator and Scanner for Thinkorswim, TradeStation, NinjaTrader 8, TradingView, and MT4. You're also going to get a chart pattern principle, PDF manual, and trading guide, chart pattern cheat sheet, 25 top option strategy guide, VIP email support, and access to our private Discord channel. Now, we've recently listed these online at these prices: $19.97, $14.97, and $9.97. No joke, those are real prices, but today, as part of the Toasted Traders special, we're pleased to offer this for a one-time fee of $397. The offer link is seasonalswingtrader.com/code, and I'll drop that into the chat for you. It's seasonalswingtrader.com/code. Let me know if you got that. All right. Yeah, It is a one-time fee. Let's talk about all of the goodies here. The indicator and scanner includes, again, the visual plot of the 1, 2, 3 top and bottom, entry, exit, stop, and target levels, all color-coded, customizable settings, multiple look-back periods. You can scan for setups only or trigger only or both. You can scan for tops, bottoms, or both, and scan for intraday setups as well as swing setups as both. So if you don't like red, you want hot magenta, you don't want lime green, you want puke green, you can change the color. If you want to change the arrows to dots or to hashes or to squares, you can do that. Setups only or trigger only. What does that mean? When we first had this built out, it was only available to find setups, meaning those that are in the process of setting up. And then I had a couple students say, hey, can you have the scanner look for those that have triggered, meaning those that have actually broken through that number 2 area? I said, I don't know. Let me go to my programmer, and we were able to do it. We did it across all platforms, didn't charge a single red cent. In fact, all of the updates and enhancements we made, we haven't charged a dime, and that will likely continue. But frankly, I don't know what else we can do. And then again, having the ability to scan for multiple markets across multiple time frames is a huge time-saving advantage. Let's talk about bonus 1, chart pattern principle trading manual guide, 90+ page PDF. You can download it to your desktop. You can print it out, use it for firewood. I don't really care. You're going to learn how to other strategies, how to read charts, option strategies, chart patterns, seasonal market trends, and more. Bonus 2 is my 25 top option strategy guide, literally strategies for all account sizes, whether you trade basic calls and puts to more intermediate advanced, such as condors, verticals, butterflies, diagonals, and more. And then bonus 3 is access to our private Discord channel. This is more of a, what I call a chat room. It's not a trade room, but it's an area or a hub that's open 24/7. Anybody can come in there and post your charts, your analysis, your thoughts. Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? You know, is this a good setup? What's working? What's not? And it's fairly new, maybe a month or 2 old. Very happy about that. And we look to, you know, get even more active there and post ideas, because even if we have scanners and indicators and things like that doing the grunt work for us, look, there's thousands of different markets and dozens of time frames. Nobody can possibly keep their pulse on every market at all times. So sometimes I miss some trades, sometimes you may miss trades, but you can put in, hey, look at this, look at that, and it's just a community to help one another. Here are some unsolicited testimonials of people, you know, placing trades, having success with the 3S code. I don't ask for these; they come in all the time. Very pleased and humbled. And then just an example of trades that we've used using the 1, 2, 3. Trust me, it has been responsible for thousands of dollars, thousands of profits, and you can see there all those trades. So, are you ready? I mean, I do eat what I cook. This is a snapshot, I believe, my platform yesterday, where I Thinkorswim account here, where I do most of my equity options trading, and my futures account, where you see I've got crude options, cotton options, copper options, yen option, nat gas options in the S&P. And then just again, this was yesterday's action in the E-mini S&P here. See, we had a short, long, long. So, you know, I get asked, does it work in volatility or volatile situations? Yes, it does. And it thrives on it, actually, because there's always markets making new highs, new lows. And we're always cognizant of, you know, global conditions, macro conditions, fundamentals. But when it all comes down, we look at the chart and see what price has been baked in based on outlining events, and let the pattern and setup do the talking. So here is the offer again: 3S code, high-low indicator and scanner for Thinkorswim, TradeStation, NinjaTrader 8, TradingView, and MT4. Chart pattern principle PDF manual trading guide, chart pattern cheat sheet, 25 top option strategy guide, VIP email support, and access to our private Discord channel. So let me take a breath here and look at some questions. I've got a few minutes here, and let's look at some questions. So do I generally enter towards close of the day when we have a confirmation of test levels and or above below number 3? We've got people that trade at all different styles, and if we have some time here, we'll take a look at some charts, some live charts, and I'll show you reasons why I trade certain setups and why I avoid certain setups. These are setting up all the time. It's nobody could possibly take all setups, and we have a complete guide in the members area of a cheat sheet, if you will, on setups, how to filter and putting odds in your favor. I'll show you the members area momentarily. But to answer your question, I don't necessarily enter on the close of the day. I like to see the candle or the price close above the number 2, as I showed you in a couple of those examples. And as you may have seen, sometimes they'll come wick up above that 2 or wick down below the number 2 and go the other direction. So I like to see a confirmation close above that 2 or a close below that number 2 before I consider getting into the trade. Can you automate the process? Well, we do have the automation that I just showed you there, letting technology scan the markets for you based on your personal parameters or variables. So it's all going to be independent to you and your computer. So however, depending on your settings, I may not see what you see, but generally just out of the box, black and white, you're going to see exactly what I see. So I'll just quickly bring a chart over here. This is a daily chart of corn, and I'll show you what the settings look like. If my platform will cooperate here, there we go. So this is basically what your settings are going to look like, and this is just out of the box, black and white. Like I said, these are set to the bare minimum settings. Why? Because I want to see every potential setup. Doesn't mean that I'll take the trade, but I want to see every particular step. So like this one right here means minimum bars between the 1 and 2. I personally like to see more bars between the 1 and 2, and I like to see deeper retracements, but I'll still want to see them appear on my chart and allow me to make that decision. Here again, like I showed you, if you want to change some of the settings, the colors, the width, the style, you can change all of that good stuff there. So that's what it looks like. So this is the members area, and I'll get back to these questions here. I just want to show you, we don't leave you hanging out to dry. We're going to absolutely support you. If you need help setting up, if you were able to log into the webinar today, you should have any problem taking maybe 5, possibly 10 minutes. I don't know. I'm no tech wizard, no tech guru, and we try to break this down as best we can. So we've got videos, PDF guides. I even made a little video on the seasonality widget in Thinkorswim. You don't have to add that. It's totally up to you. I do like to incorporate seasonality in my intermediate swing trades. I am seasonal swing trader by, after the fact. TradeStation, we got V10, V9.5, NinjaTrader 8, TradingView, and MT4. So yes, I think I answered Ed's question. You get access to all platforms. We don't limit your license there. Here's information on how to get into the Discord channel. This is what that looks like. We're posting charts and analysis. Here are a bunch of other bonuses and materials. Customize an indicator, day trading, swing trading, setting up scans and watch list, and then some other unannounced bonuses and info. The software is not taking the trades for you. You have to enter the trades yourself. We do have a separate piece of software that's not included. And this is the indicator scanner. We do have another piece of software. It's called the 3S Optimizer that can do kind of work like an EA or trading robot. So that's truly automated, meaning it's placing the trades for you. And we're really excited about that. We're still running some back tests and things. That's what that does. It runs back tests based on, it allows you to manipulate your settings. So tells you, what moving averages are the best, what time frames are the best, maybe for that particular instrument. These are some of those results here. And you can see we've got all kinds of different settings that you can choose from. Right here, this would take this, you would be 90 years old or maybe 190 if you try to do this all by hand. So we're very excited about that. Just running a bunch of different back tests there. So let me figure out how to close that down. There we go. Yeah, we'll look at some charts here if we got time. Running out of time here. Let me, Ted, yes, it is available. It is available there. Let's see. Sylvia will help you set up. I got a guy that can actually come in and do a remote session. You actually come in and do a remote session and log into your computer and help set it up. We don't charge anything for that. Yeah, it's not a bot. Let's see. No, Jay, that's not going to happen to Alabama. Yes, it is Randall. Yeah, I use it to trade options. Absolutely, I do, especially in the commodity markets as well as equities. I like trading credit spreads personally. There's a time and place for everything, though. So depending on my outlook and horizon for a particular trade, the longevity and seasonals and things like that, I'll be an outright call buyer or outright put buyer. But generally, I favor credit spreads. Yeah, the link is in the chat box. Let me see if I can put that in there again real quick. We're running out of time here. No, it's a one-time. This is a one-time fee. There's no renewal. You own the indicator for life. You own all the educational material for life. Yes, you can absolutely reach out with questions. No, it works on all markets, Romy. US, Canadian, Indian, any markets, anything that has price movement. If you're still trying to chart Japanese rice, you can use this indicator. Yes, you can load it on. Yeah, I've got it on all. I have accounts with all of these firms here. I don't actively trade on all of them, but I've got a whole PC running Thinkorswim all day, every day. I don't use TradeStation. I used to. NinjaTrader 8 I don't use. I have accounts here, but I'm using it more for the back testing thing, but I'm starting to use it. I use TradingView all day, every day. Got multiple tabs. I love it. It's very clean. And MT4 I also use. All right, I think I'm out of time. I want to be respectful. We've got John Thomas coming up next. So the offer link is seasonalswingtrader.com/code. Thanks everybody for your time and attentiveness. I hope you're able to get in first 25, and I'll see you on the flip side. So